Hi there, folks. My name's Novawing24, and welcome once again to the Three Grumpy Simmers. And it is hopefully not going to be an extra long episode of the Three Grumpy Simmers this time, but you never know.
Yeah.
I have been proven wrong before. So let's get started by saying a huge hello and welcome to the most grumpiest of the three of us this time, Sergio from helisimmer.com.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am grumpy.
He's grumpy. We're all grumpy. And, of course, hello to purple hat-wearing, slow and fast aircraft aficionado with a character in Black Desert Online with quite the new job, which I believe is coming about there shortly, very late. Mr. Drew Belgiote, hello and welcome.
It's not my fault. They just keep coming out with more characters, and I'm like, well, I need a redhead of that one too.
You need a redhead of all the characters
coming out.
Let's just be honest with that.
I'm like, yeah, I got to do it.
And
but yeah, I'm spending my time with a new friend. So you know my old friend, right? My old friend Jester.
Yes.
He's still my old friend, right?
Yes.
But now I have a new friend. My new friend's name is Petrovich, comrade. And we've been flying all over Cyprus all week long, and it's been wonderful.
Oh, Petrovich, comrade. Pass the vodka, comrade. How did you go with I believe there was a bit of a naval incident when an island suddenly appeared where a carrier had been sailing.
Yeah, the campaign that I was working on that I'm going to be making videos for in a Syria map, I decided to put my carrier group, a few miles out from the coast of Lebanon, Israel. I'm thinking, this is a perfect spot for them. It's far enough away. Tomcats can fly to, Israel and all them areas within about 10, 15 minutes. Everything's fine. Come back to the boat, and I'm like, dang. Turkey's looking awful close. Completely forgot they had added Cyprus to the map. My carrier's steaming, full steam ahead, and about to smack into Cyprus because I forgot to move the dang thing for about 10 kilometers.
I would have loved to see that.
That's why I'm glad the Hind came out, because I haven't even been on the boat. I'm just like, you know what? I'll change all of those missions later. I'm in the Hind right now.
Yeah, and of course, we had an honorary appearance from my second officer Fluff, who's just now gone behind the monitors. This could be an interesting stream. Anyway, all right, hello and welcome, folks. So,
Luna's asleep.
Yeah, mine are active because it's afternoon, so the warm's on. Anyway, all right, so, of course, we had a very interesting two-part discussion in our last episode where we discussed, of all things, of pirates and developers and the flight sim community. So it was with great interest that we decided to follow that up with something that has been a burning issue for our good friend Sergio here. So Sergio, I'm going to let you start with what's grinding your gears. What's grinding your simulation gears this month?
What's grinding my simulation gears this month? Unfortunately, it's not just this month. It's been on and on for quite some time, actually. And I'm not going to say it's been there for 5 years. Although, well, it's been there not just my simulation time, but all simulation time is something that we have been seeing for quite some time, and it's more and more out there since Microsoft Flight Simulator was released, which is the fact that we still continue to have a lot of toxicity and elitism and people bashing each other in the community. And it's not just a matter of one flight simulator. It's not just a matter of Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it's getting especially worse with Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's happening. It's one of the things that I was afraid that this sim would eventually start a war between. Well, yeah, you can call it a war between the veterans and the newcomers, the PC users and the Xbox users. It's kind of like, the game versus sim war, but on steroids, with all the sorts of just stupid, imbecile logic behind it. And it's exhausting. It's really, I read some comments online, And okay, let's say I'm not a newbie. I'm not a new guy. It's not like, oh my god, I'm seeing this negative and toxicity for the first time. It's always been there, but it's reaching absolutely unbelievable levels.
No, I'm 100% agree with you.
We still haven't even gotten Xbox yet. We still haven't even gotten Xbox yet.
So,
as of the time of this recording, Xbox is not due to come to Microsoft Flight Simulator until July 27th, 2021.
Yeah, but you know, people, some information comes out, and some people realize that, you know, there are some limitations because, let's face it, playing a flight simulator at 4K, 30 frames per second, yeah, that's quite a limitation, right? You know, it's 4K. It's 4 times an HD monitor, right? At 30 frames per second, and people are going, Xbox is shitty.
That's better performance than I get.
Yeah.
First of all,
yeah,
you know, if you're not an Xbox user at all, why are you? Why are you just,
why does it matter?
Why are you? It doesn't matter to you. If you're not an Xbox user, it doesn't matter. Oh, I don't like Xbox. Don't use it. Let others use. It's their problem if they don't like it. You know, it's up to them. But you know, it's. I don't see it as a limit. Well, yeah, it's a limitation if you want, for some reason, more frames per second. And some people do, some people don't. And I've seen this war many times.
Oh my god, that war.
It's irrelevant
such
to
a
me.
pissing match. It is. Hey, anybody that talks, it's so frustrating. Like, people sort of be like, oh, but 60 is so much better. Oh, I need 240 frames or it looks like shit. Fuck off. Like, do you actually know what you're talking about? Like, seriously. Okay.
Oh my god.
Like the refresh rate of the vast majority of screens, and let's think about this for a second. What's the refresh rate of screens? Unless you have a very specific range of gaming monitors, the refresh rate, so the actual number of frames per second that your actual viewing device can see, unless it's a very specific range of gaming monitors, caps out usually at, guess what? 60 frames.
Yeah, that's the default for
literally, your viewing device cannot show more than 60. Now, when it comes, if you're just looking on a flat screen, now I personally run mine locked at 30. That's what I run mine at, because I find that's a good balance between performance and between refresh rate. Could I run it at 120? Yeah, probably. But my monitor literally can't display more than 60. It literally can't. Like, that's its limitation. And now I will happily grant an exception for VR. VR, absolutely, because of the fact that it involves motion and a different way of projection. That absolutely, you kind of need 40 plus. I'm pretty sure, Drew, you've sort of said that it's sort of 60 is where it really does need to sit in order to get that one. Yeah. To get the experience.
45,
the Rift
45
S,
is the...
It goes at 80 frames per second. So that's what, 80 hertz refresh rate?
80 hertz refresh rate.
The typical VR set is about 90, but the Rift S, the way that they designed it, they're able to do whatever voodoo it is that they do, get it to work at 80. Optimally, you can work with 40.
Right.
And if you have like some of the settings on and so on and so forth, you could even dip down to less than that. You could dip down to about 27 frames and it would still be considered smooth. Yeah. You don't want to go any lower than that, because then you really start noticing things moving almost like a slideshow.
And that's where I really want to pick up on this. This is where and especially relating to your elitism bullshit that we keep seeing in this community, is that.
But it's not. Let me just a note. We're talking about frame rate, but this is not just about frame rate.
Exactly.
Exactly. This is not an episode about frame rate.
This is about. It's a symptom.
Toxicity.
Yeah, it's a symptom of the toxicity. And one of the things that we keep hearing people preach on about frame rates. Okay, all right. We keep hearing people talking about, oh, you're not a real simmer because you want to play it on a console. Okay, hey, newsflash, newsflash, everyone. That expensive PC that's sitting by your leg, okay, that's a game console. It happens to do other things like, I'll browse the internet. Oh, wait, hang on. Gaming console can do that. It browses the internet. Oh, wait, a gaming console does that. Oh, but it can watch TV. I can watch YouTube on it. Oh, wait, gaming console can do that too.
You know what's funny is we see all kinds of people asking for PC specs to run Microsoft Flight Simulator, and the number one thing that they're asking is, can this run the sim?
I am sick of that question.
But here's the best part. Have you noticed a recurring theme? They're all using Alienware. What does Alienware make? Gaming PCs.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. It's a console.
So, hey, everyone, this whole simulation versus gaming goes, guess what? It's games. Anyway, no, it's this toxic thing about, it's about, okay, you're not simmers because you're using, it's like, who cares? And this is, and I really want to, and I'm really grateful that you brought this up there, Sergio, because I'm really frustrated by the toxicity that we see, and this whole attitude of that I'm better than you are because I can fly a 797 by myself and I can fly it for 16 hours. It's no, sorry, you are not better than anybody else. Like, you're not, and there is the simmer that chooses to jump in, fly with an Xbox controller, and throw the throttle forward and throw the aeroplane around just to see the sights is just as valid a simulation gaming experience as the person who role plays an airliner from flight planning through pushback, through controlled airspace, through to destination for a 12-hour long haul. Like, they are very different ways of enjoying the hobby, but neither is any less valid or more valid than the other. Because at the end of the day, this is about enjoyment. Whether you and I really want to, again, this is something I'm very passionate about, because we need to destigmatize the idea of role play. Like, okay, role play is not just about, a DMing, a dungeon master with a bunch of people and some stat sheets here, or, with fluffy handcuffs in the bedroom. Okay, it's not just about that. Okay, role playing, what we do fundamentally is we role play.
That's something I've been saying for years.
Exactly.
That's something I've been saying, not just to the community, but to developers as well.
Yep.
We are role players. Most of those people are role players. The guys, and I know Drew also understands this, the guys that go all DCS military thing because we are pilots and DCS, they are role playing. It's really funny. It's really funny to see a lot of these guys in their macho roles. I'm a virtual fighter pilot. You're a role player. You're role playing. You're playing a role as a military pilot, doing boom, 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 and just watching pixels moving on your screen. You're a role player. I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
Yep.
But you're just playing a role. You're not a.
Exactly.
There's not
that
such a
just burns me up too when I see that. Because don't get me wrong, you all know me. I love the hell out of DCS.
We all
you better damn well sure believe that the moment that Tomcat comes for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and for those who don't know, DC Designs is making a Tomcat, I will fly that sucker just as much, just as hard as I will and do the Hitler DCS one. Not because I want to boom flower everything in the world, but sometimes I just want to fly from freaking Key West Naval Air Station to Pensacola in a Tomcat.
Because why not?
I can't do that in DCS world.
Exactly.
It's all valid. And it's all still role play. Exactly as Sergio said. It is all role play, whether you're part of a VA, whether you're part of a virtual squadron, or bush pilot club or something like that. Whatever you can think of.
Exactly. Yeah, it is 100%. It is just a different form of role play. So we need to. So as a community, and I'm flat out going to call a community on this one, is that the amount of fragile egos in our community is quite telling. It really is. It is really telling. Like, and the number of times it really doesn't matter. And can we also talk about another piece of the toxicity here? Like, there's the elitist bullshit that we have with hardware, and like, and I know, Sergio, you started talking about the whole, Xbox users, they're just kids, they aren't real simmers, that kind of elitist bullshit. Can we also talk about the elitist bullshit about when it comes to control systems and control setups? Can we talk about that? Like, seriously,
oh man,
it's like, okay. Do not get me wrong. There is some amazing hardware out there, but
that works.
It's still valid.
And
it's still valid.
So,
yep.
Are you having a good time? That works.
Use Flash for everybody. Little bit of insider information here. The people that so what's the sim that everybody and straight up going to call them out there, particularly the tube liner fraternity, all say is the greatest sim ever. Prepared. Full disclosure, as I always disclose with this, I work for Lockheed Martin. I know the team that actually develop Prepared and actually work on it and actually create it and actually provide it to market. Guess what's control setup they use in development and for testing? It's not Honeycomb. It's not Logitech. It's not Thrustmaster.
Why are you bursting people's bubble?
It's not Virtual?
Come on.
Oh, that's just craziness.
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
news.
hate to burst your bubble, kids, but literally,
that's all fake news.
They literally test and develop using an Xbox controller. Why? Because of cheap, affordable, off-the-shelf hardware that's common, and it still has all the axes that all these other fandangle systems have. Okay, but it's in a simple setup. The FSX has had presets. FSX had presets for an Xbox controller. Prepared has presets for an Xbox controller. Explain, I don't know about. But I know Aerofly does, MSFS does.
I want to say yes, but don't quote me on that because I haven't plugged mine in for a while. So.
Either way, the point is that when somebody comes along, particularly, and again, this has been so frustrating because, like you, Sergio, I really saw the Microsoft Flight Simulator, the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator, as a huge watershed moment in our community's future in our history, because suddenly people people who had never thought about flight simming suddenly wanted to come in, suddenly wanted to try. They craned their head skywards and went, "Hey, I can replicate this. I can fly over." And yes, it was a bit of a meme, the whole fly over my house thing. Yeah, okay, that's fine. We all did it. But
the thing is, it worked.
Exactly,
and
it worked.
People actually did it.
Right.
And the number one reason why people didn't stay is because of the toxic bullshit from you gritty old shits in this community. That basically.
But that's their goal. Look, but that is their goal. They achieved that goal. And when we say this and when we point the fingers at them, they are actually, and that's what really pisses me off. It's that people are really happy for ruining it for the others. Just because for some reason they want to feel like they are validating themselves as opposed to validating other people. Because we already said this a lot, and there's this I don't want to call it a buzzword, but it's kind of a buzzword by the fact that it's being used so much for a lot of different things, especially in politics and all the problems that we have in society and in the world. we are very polarized in the sense that we always have, and we also talked about this, we have these tribal wars. And
Yep.
I have felt that myself in the work that I do, because you guys know me. You guys know that I try to play devil's advocate here when I write my articles and do my reviews. I don't just point the finger at what's bad. I don't just talk about what's good. I try to do it in a way that it's balanced.
Yep.
So I'm not a guy that goes party up because this is so good, and ignore the bad things, or just point the finger and go, oh, this is shitty, and I just ignore the good things.
Yeah.
Because that's how society works. It's how people nowadays consume things. You either need to be absolutely positive or absolutely negative, and I like to be in the middle. I like to tell people, I want to be as neutral as possible and tell people what's good and what's bad, and let them decide. But we live on such a polarized society, and we live on such polarized communities, and it's not just our community, it's communities. It's all the communities out there, all the online communities. I belong to several, not just Simming, and I see that everywhere. If people are not with you, they are against you. So in the eyes of these people, if they are not PC users, so they are Xbox users, they are against the PC users. This is not a war. This is not an X versus Y, an A versus B, a 1 versus 2 thing. This is the community. This is the streaming community using different tools. Just like I use helicopter flight controls to fly my helicopters, and Drew uses verbal controls to fly his helicopters. I'm not better or worse than Drew. Drew is using the software that he loves and using the software that that works for him. And we enjoy the same experiences. We have shared the cockpit in DCS. Why is it that, what kind of witchcraft allowed me, someone that is using
blasphemy, Sergio! How dare you sully your experience with a different set of controls?
I managed to merge the same experience with a guy that's not using the same set of controls. Oh my God, it's not witchcraft. It's just, we're using different things. And I just want to point out something that I saw this today. You guys probably get a notification because I commented on I really feel like I need to put this. I need to talk about this particular post and comment that I saw on Facebook, and you guys will get a notification and you'll see this post for sure because I've commented. Like I said, a guy just plain out posted made a post on one of the groups that I belong to, and I think you guys belong to it as well. It's not our Microsoft Flight Simulation group; it's another one. Just saying exactly what we started this episode with, which was the war between Xbox and PC. Well, not a war inside his head.
Because these people see it as a war. They do.
Yeah, exactly. So he just made that post saying with a few emojis and bashing the Xbox version just because it's not like he was following up on any comment from anyone. It was just a pure shit post bashing Xbox, something that it's not even out. Okay, it was just so there was a common friend of ours that commented. I'm not going to name any names, but there was a common friend of ours that even asked the guy, did you wake up this morning and this is a positive thing that you are contributing to the world?
And another guy this morning.
Yeah, and I don't remember if it was that guy or another guy that commented saying that it's very. I think it was a comment. The guy saying that it's funny how I don't remember the exact phrase, but the idea was it's very funny how the people using Xbox or how Zobo is convincing people that he's using Xbox that they are pilots. So in the
same way they convince you sitting behind your PC that you're a pilot.
That was the kind of comment that I did. It's the exact same thing. So does this guy considers himself a pilot because he sees some pixels moving on the screen?
Oh wow!
Is that where we are at? Is that how our community? Is that the kind of thing that we now have, that people believe they are pilots because they use a home flight simulator in a home computer? and they see themselves as the elites, some sort of elites that looks down at Xbox users because they have 30 frames at 4K. Is that how where our community is nowadays?
Here's a funny thing.
Gears.
There's a funny thing. Hang on. I know people who are real pilots, like, whether it be military or civilian. And these folks are looking forward to Microsoft Flight Simulator on the Xbox. They don't want to spend the time to, get the PC. They don't want to get, the full hardware setup or get into the whole VR. They just want it on the Xbox console so they can have fun. Why? Because they already do this stuff in real life. They already have to, obey all the various rules and laws and whatever. They just want to have fun, to remind themselves of why they do this in real life.
And that is something I said, like that particular, as I said, like in one way I want to defend that individual because it's like, okay, he takes his role playing very seriously, and that's fine. I respect him for taking his role playing seriously, but that does not give that individual or anybody else the right to say that they are somehow superior to anybody else, because that's not on. And that's what it sounds like they're doing, because it's like, okay, so if that individual, role playing they are role playing as a pilot. They are not actually a pilot. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they actually have a pilot time. That's fine. But either way, when they're sitting on their PC with all their controls and all the rest of it, then they are role playing. I'm sorry, and I know there's all these people in the comments are going to say, "Oh, but Prepared is an FAA certified simulator." No, it's not. Let's be 100% clear about this. X-Plane and Prepared and Redbird are not FAA certified sims. What they are is that they are certified to be components in a FAA certified sim when used in conjunction with a very, very specific set of additional hardware. So let's be clear on this one, okay? So and I'm gonna say this, hey, to everybody else that's trying to like degrade everybody else, do you want to measure it?
I just remember of a cool example. There is a rivet that you can use to build an aircraft. You can get this rivet to be part of an aircraft.
Yep.
But until that rivet is part of the aircraft, it's just a rivet.
Yep.
And that's exactly what you have when you have Xbox on your hands. You have a rivet. Unless you put it along with a huge set of other parts, X-Plane and Prepared is not an FAA-approved sim. It's a rivet.
And that reminds me of something else that I had seen online that I just wanted to mention really quick. So, as you know, we've all been seeing this whole, Xbox, everybody's making fun of it and whatnot. I don't remember which group it was on. I want to say it might have been X-Plane, because I've noticed a lot of toxicity coming from the X-Plane group regarding Microsoft Flight Simulator in general. And of course,
I've seen a lot from the Prepared community as well. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, them too. And these people are going on and on about, Xbox, it's totally a game, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, the last time I checked, both X-Plane 11 and Airfly FS2 also have sims made for this. And if I recall correctly, it's the exact same program that's on this that's also on that. The only difference is, of course, the platform that you're using it on, but the nuts and bolts, the rivets, if you will, to borrow a phrase, it's all the same. So when they're talking about, Microsoft bringing the Xbox, and what people are afraid of is it's going to dumb down their sim. It's not. Microsoft has said
did
from
they
the
not
get-go,
watch the
it's
actual
exact same thing.
Did they not watch the actual presentation where they went and the interview, that really in-depth interview where York went through and said, like, we're not dumbing it down. All we're doing is we're adding in additional features, which, by the way, is also coming to the PC version. Just saying that, again, just like the assistance modules that are already there, you can turn them off or turn them on at your desire. I run with them off. But you know what? Every now and again, I turn on the landing assist ones so I can, the visual landing guidance, so I can actually see what the approaches are. How does that make me any less of a role-playing pilot, a virtual pilot?
I am sorry to say you're not a pilot.
Guess I should probably turn off that little iflols that pops up in front of my face in VR and DCS when I'm trying to land, and just rely on seeing the ball way
You are not a pilot.
there.
Drew. Sorry, not a pilot.
Or I could just wear these. Probably should, actually.
Yeah, it's just, and Sergio, I said, I really want to thank you for bringing this up, because it is a conversation that and I've talked to a lot of, and you know, through my as sort of my sort of closing thoughts, through my work on Twitch and on YouTube, I mean, I've been very, very fortunate enough that I've been able to speak and engage with a lot of new simmers who have been coming to the hobby, who've been getting their first grounding in the hobby, and a lot of them have said to me that they almost walked away because of the bullshit from so many of the elitist crowd. So I guess, but you know, I said, well, let's. I guess as a question I want to ask all of those who say that Xbox is bad. Xbox is going to be, having this on Xbox is going to be bad for the community. That having all these new pilots come into our community, all these young newcomers who actually want to sim, is somehow a bad thing for us and all these people. I want to ask you all a question. I want to ask you a question, a serious question. I want you to go back to remember the first time you ever started a flight simulator. I want you to go back to that moment, the first time you ever sat down in front of a computer and depending on how old it might have even been an Apple Mac II if you date back to the original the original flight simulator. I want you to go back to that moment in time, and I want you to remember what it felt like when you started that sim for the first time, when you controlled it using nothing but a keyboard, when you saw, depending on when you started, you may have seen you may have just seen a monochrome black with a wireframe terrain mesh, or maybe you're new enough that you would have seen a flat terrain with occasional very blocky pixel buildings popping up, or maybe you came in when you had a couple of custom 3D assets. But either way, whenever you first came in, remember that moment. I want you to go back to that first moment. And if somebody spoke to you the way you now speak to our community, would you have stayed? Would you still be flying today?
That's it right there. We need to remember this is not a country club. It is a community. We need to start acting like a community.
And you know, and unfortunately, there are certain leaders in our community and voices in our community that carry weight that unfortunately perpetrate this and continue this trope, unfortunately. So it's been interesting watching their positions as well, and concerning. So that's been it's a very it's a topic that's not pleasant to talk about, but we need to talk about.
Yeah.
So I guess final thoughts from you, Sergio, considering that you are the lead grumpy on this one. Though I have wanted to agree with you, this is not a new issue, by the way. Like, let's be clear on here. This is not a new issue. This issue has literally killed simulators. This toxicity has killed sims. That one of them, this whole endeavor started because of one of the sims that attitude killed.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure we have discussed this very subject quite a few times.
I think we come back to it at least once a year,
and it keeps coming back. Different set of characters.
But it's the same thing. It keeps scrolling back, and but
can we shoot it and put it out of its misery yet?
It is getting worse. That's the thing. That's why I wanted to bring it back, because we are seeing this getting worse with market. Again, it's not the sims or the team's fault. It's just a matter that we have more people coming into simming and more aware or returning to sims. So we have more people. We have more toxicity, especially from those that are in the community for a long time. So I am really sorry that this is happening. I'm sorry that I'm seeing this division in the community. I'm sorry that we have to keep on talking about this, because if we do, it means that it's still there and that we need to address it. I hope things get better. I've seen people asking for the division of even online groups so that they can have the PC version and the Xbox version separate.
Why?
I have seen that happening, and it's really sad. We know there are going to be some differences. Still, it's sad that people ask for that division to happen. I think most of the people that are a part of this division, again, their issue is their egos and the fact that they have spent a lot of money on a computer and on hardware and on a lot of things. And all of a sudden, they feel threatened because, some guys are able to just buy an Xbox and be able to enjoy this exact same sim as they do.
Let's call it. That's exactly what it is. Is that they've spent $10,000 on a brand new Alienware top of the line PC. Fought hard in the great graphics card battle of 2021.
So they are pilots and the other ones aren't. Yeah.
And now,
I think you guys know. I think I had this conversation with you guys. I had this conversation with my daughter a few times, because I don't like to call myself a community leader. I don't see myself as a leader. I just see someone who has a platform for people to talk. But as someone that is involved in the community and it's managing, more than one community, you guys know that I'm involved in other things as well. I like to talk to my daughter about these things because, it's online relations and online communities. And so I want to pass this experience to her so that she understands a lot of what's happening and manages to protect herself from this. And I say this very often. Most of the problems we encounter online, and I think this fits exactly into what's happening with the simming community. A lot of if not all, I would say most of the problems that we find online with communities and this split between communities, most of this comes from egos and comes from people wanting to be better than others, or people just wanting to validate themselves and their choices and what to do. And the way they do it is, again, by being tribal. If I bash what others are doing, so if I go against what others are doing, I'm self-validating.
Yep.
Okay, I'm validating what I'm doing. And that's a big issue. So I think one of the first things that I would like people to ask when they go out there and engage with communities, just leave your egos in the real world. Don't bring your egos into the virtual world, because that is not going to help you. That's going to skew your view. That's going to make you feel threatened for some reason. And then you'll just make an ass out of yourself in front of millions of people, because that's pretty much what you're doing. So keep yourself in check, guys. Just think for a bit before saying something. If it's not something that's going to be positive and productive for the community, just
Don't say it.
Write it on note. Just write it on. Look, open Notepad or whatever your software has. Write all that stuff that you want to write in Notepad, and when you finish it, just spell check it, do whatever you want. When you finish it,
Spell
just
check it.
close and don't save it.
Yep. No, he's right. Get it out of your system, but don't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's therapy.
Don't be an ass.
That's my last thoughts on this.
Yep. No, all very, very good thoughts. Mr. Belgio.
Pretty deep. Before I, light into anybody online, I will be sure to spell check everything that I do.
Spelling and grammar is important if you want to get your message across. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Twitter. When are we getting an edit button?
If you're going to call someone an asshole, make sure ass has 2 S's.
Right. Yeah, I would tend to agree with all of that. I mean, it's like I said, this isn't a country club. It was never really intended to be a country club. Granted, it's a niche within a niche. We're a part of the greater gaming community. We're a part of the aviation community. It all combines together. There's room for everybody in
by
here.
Both. Let's be honest here. We're ridiculed by both.
Absolutely. We're never going to be in a situation, at least not in the foreseeable future, where we're getting, 90, 120 frames per second, like, I don't know, Call of Duty or whatever the hottest game is that's out there now. I only play Black Desert Online when I'm not doing flight simming, so I have no clue. But I do know that flight sims, we're never going to get to that point. At least right now. Maybe one day, we'll be able to, but the demands of the flight sim, for them to be able to pull off 4K, 30 FPS on an Xbox Series X or Series S, I think it's coming to both of those. That's actually
epic.
Pretty good. That's pretty monumental. And if you think about it, if they're optimizing the tech for that, that can only come back to the PC community and benefit the PC community because it's the same exact program. We have proof positive with X-Plane. Everything that X-Plane has put into the mobile comes back to the PC. And as a result, it makes the PC platform that much more stable, that much more capable. And of course, X-Plane is, working on some stuff. They're a little, behind the curve when it comes to getting to the same level of graphic fidelity that we've seen DCS and Microsoft Flight Simulator do, but they're getting there. They're getting there. But remember, just because it's a different platform than what we are commonly used to doesn't in itself make it bad.
Yep.
And especially the people that are using it, they all have their reasons as to why they would want to use it. It's not your business.
Yep. Exactly.
That's the bottom line. It's not your business what they use, why they use it. You do you.
Yep.
You do you. It's not hurting you what anybody else is doing.
Why is this such a hard concept for people to get?
I learned this one in kindergarten. Hell, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but that's just it. It's just like I really want to say that everything that you two have just discussed, like I 100% agree behind it. Like, I could not have put this any better. I kind of don't have anything left to say really because you've both wrapped it up so well. But it's why are the basic lessons that we learn in kindergarten? What is it about, like, we hit the age of, 18 and then immediately forget these lessons? And I'm not even just talking about gaming here. I'm talking about, in life in general. In
general, yeah.
What is it about when we hit 18, 20-something, suddenly we just forget the basic concepts of being a decent damn human? What is this? And this is the thing that really frustrates me. I look at this and go, again, we are flying fake aeroplanes on a electronic gaming device from a piece of furniture in our homes. Does it really matter if the label that's on that case that's driving those virtual aeroplanes, does it really matter if that sticker says Dell, HP, or Xbox? Does it really matter? Like
It doesn't. It shouldn't.
it shouldn't. And yet again, like a lot of things in this world, apparently, people get dug in and get tribal over it. And the problem with tribalism is that nobody wins. Is that, and Sergio, I'm going to pick up on your thing about self-validation, is that, okay, you feel good because not because you've improved yourself or the simulation community. And this is what I'm saying, is if you do this, if you belittle someone because they choose to simulate and play their sim in a different way from you, or on a different PC from you, or a different platform from you, PC, Xbox, Android, mobile, whatever. If they choose to do it with different hardware, if they choose to do it with a different aeroplane, if you look at that and see that you are somehow superior and they are somehow inferior because of those choices, why?
Is it a man thing? Like, seriously, is it split along like gender, quote unquote, lines or whatever?
I
mean, maybe the females in the community that watch
Let
the
me
show,
ask you
maybe you can
something,
chime
Drew.
in the comment and let me know if there's
Let me ask you something, Drew. Do you see women pitching in these conversations? I know there's not a lot of women involved in the community.
That's a whole nother problem.
It's on a whole different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation that we need to have at some point.
But do you see them interacting with? You don't. They just,
because you know what? Sure. They just get on and do it.
I don't know if it's just a guy's thing. It may be. I have no idea.
It flat out is. It's a flat out a bunch of guys flopping out on a table with a damn ruler. That's been the case. That's been the case ever since we had more than one sim available to us. It's okay. It wasn't as bad back in the day of the early days of FS and X-Plane. Like, it wasn't as bad, but it's very much been an issue ever since. Ever since FSX and X-Plane really took off, it's been an issue, and it's been growing exponentially worse as time's gone on. So basically, folks, I was going to leave you the idea that, by the way, it's genuine from talking to a lot of female friends of mine. It genuinely isn't about the size of it. It's about what you do with it. But beyond that, like I said, you two have summarized it really, really well. It's just, folks, just stop being elitist. Stop trying to gatekeep our community. At the end of the day, an Xbox is nothing more than a gaming PC. It just is optimized to do nothing but that. And 100%, what you were saying before, Drew, is that the improvements that they have made to the sim to get it onto Xbox to run that smoothly, they've already rolled back into us. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but MSFS since the last sim update has run so much smoother. Like, everything loads faster, everything loads faster, everything runs smoother. Like, my load time cut in half, and I didn't.
Tire smoke. Sorry, Sergio. I had
hashtag tire smoke.
We're going to have a full episode about tire smoke.
We are going to need to have a full episode about tire smoke. We absolutely are. So, folks, that is going to round us out. But you know what? I'm actually going to ask. I'm actually going to give everybody who watches this some homework. I'm going to give you some homework to do. Come for the conversation, Lee. Stay for the homework. So, one of the things that I think we've highlighted here today is that, and Sergio, I was really touched by the story of you trying to relate these scenarios to your daughter, and because I've been struggling to try to relate, like, to try and pass on the things that I see and I learn from trying to herd the cats of several flight sim communities to my sons about online. So what I think what we've really learnt here and what we've really observed here is that it is very, very easy to be negative. It is very, very easy to say, this is shit and this is bad. Xbox bad. And just make it very black and white when it's really not. Like, it's very much, the world is very much the world is a rainbow. It's not even just black and white. Yeah, it's not even just grey, shades of grey. It's rainbow. It's all sorts of colours. It's not black and white. So it's very easy to be negative. It's a bit harder to be balanced and positive. So what I'm going to ask is that I'm pretty sure that everybody watching, no matter what sim that you use, whether it be MSFS, X-Plane, Prepared, AFS, GTA, it's still a simulator, folks. Hate to tell you this. Whatever sim that you use, farming sim, truck sim, I'm sure you have an add-on somewhere, whether it be an official add-on that's come from the OEM, whether it's a third-party developer that you paid for content, or whether it's a freeware add-on that you've got. One of those add-ons that you've got, at least one, you've got and you use because you love it, because you enjoy it. I'm going to ask all the viewers to actually go to those developers. Not all of them, just one, maybe more. And if you enjoy it, if you like their content, write a positive review. Go onto their socials, go onto their social media, go into their email, and just email them or write on their social media. And say,
post it on the comments.
And post the link if you social email them, post on their social media and say, hey, I really liked hey, Bush League Legends, I really like your Cub mod for MSFS. I had a lot of fun in it. I get to do cool stuff with it. It's got skis, awesome mod, love it. Thank you so much for creating that. And yeah, Sergio said, if you're so inclined, you don't have to, but if you're so inclined, we'd love to actually, see the link to that. And thank you so much if you do. That'd be awesome. But what we're trying to say here is that it's very easy to be negative, but let's be positive. Because as developers ourselves, we get inundated with negativity, and one negative voice drowns out 10 positives. So people might be enjoying, might be loving, whether it's the software we're building for them, whether it's the music we're creating for them, whether it's the liveries we're creating for them, whatever we're doing. People create this for the community out of their time and often don't get, any kind of financial reward for it. If you like it, if you appreciate what they've done, say thank you. Say thank you to them. Appreciate them.
It's as simple as that. Yep.
So
just say thank you.
That's my thing. I'm going to say that. So thank you so much. So thank you, viewers, and thank you to my three. I'm one of those. Thank you to my two fellow grumpy simmers. I think did we become four simmers? I don't know. Sergio, thank you so much for highlighting this very, very important topic. Thank you very much for being the grumpiest of the three of us this week.
My pleasure. It's always my pleasure to be the grumpiest. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, guys. And please do the 3 Grumpy Simmers challenge and go thank a developer. Trust me, nowadays, more than ever before, these guys need positive feedback. Yep. It's so important. There are so much negative out there, and that's all they see. They very, very rarely get cool, positive, honest feedback from the users. Just sometimes just say thank you and not even mentioning the details goes a long way.
Yep. 100%.
Just do that, guys. And please do. I would love to see those comments on our comment section, the video down below. Please do post them there. Show the world that you are being a positive voice and that it can actually help the community to be better. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Mr. Belgio, thank you very much for joining us.
I'm going to go back in my hermit hole. You'll notice I am still, 1 year later, the social distancing champion.
All right, folks. So don't forget to check out Sergio from helisimmer.com and to get out helisimmer.com website for all your helicopter and simulation news. And don't forget to check out Mr. Belgio's YouTube channel for some amazing, fantastic stories and reviews as well. And since you're here, maybe throw this video a like and maybe a subscribe here. It'd be kind of cool. And you can always catch me on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter as well. Just search Overwing24. All right, folks. Thanks very much for watching. As Sergio said, please take up the 3 Grumpy Simmers challenge of thanking a developer. Take care, safe skies to all, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.
Oh,